one of the things that touched base with me was on page 16, where there were statistics about the amount of crown land that is currently within the Turks and Caicos Islands. And basically this document is stating that there's overall 23% of crown land that is left within the islands, and it actually breaks it down. You know, what is your thoughts about this whole issue and about the amount of crown land that is available?
You're correct in saying that this is a hot topic. Regardless to what we're going to do in this country or anywhere, you need land. And here in, for instance, Providencia Islands, this is where most of the growth is taking place and where the highest demand for especially residential land, you know, is being made. And sad to say, when I look at this chart, Providencia Islands has about 20% of the crown land left, and 80% of the land is in private hands.
Right.
Now, of that 20%, there is going to be a lot of pressure on government in what they do with this 20%. And I know for a fact that a number of Turks and Caicos Islanders, they feel like over the past few years they have been marginalized in their attempt to acquire some land, especially young people who just got married, or even if they weren't married, but they want to, you know, build their own homes or do a development, you know, because especially right now, there is a big drive right now to get into the rental market.
Correct.
So while it is lucrative and it is still, you know, something desirable, it would be good if young people who have the means, the financial means, could have the ability to acquire some land. And I was talking with a gentleman this morning who is blessed with having quite a bit of land, but he said he has a son who wanted to do a project on his own, and he didn't want to come to his daddy to get some of his daddy's land.
Right.
And he looked around, and the cheapest piece of land he could have found for the purpose for which he wanted to do his development was $160,000. So this daddy said, well, you take $160,000, sink it in the property, what you can build with?
Yeah.
So this is the kind of dilemma that Turks and Caicos Islanders, younger people, well, persons like myself, you know, trying to get into that rush is behind me, you know. But it's a real issue for young people, because some of my children are caught up in this.
Right.
They are young adults and they want to, you know, get out on their own, but the land isn't there. So this is a big issue here in Provo, and it's going to escalate. As more and more of the population begins to expand, people are going to be looking for land for residential purposes, and government policy has to address itself to how they move forward. You know, they have to do something, make lots smaller, or allow people to go up higher, whatever it takes, but something the practical is going to have to be put in place to accommodate the pressure that people are going to be exerting to get accommodation.
Right.
But sad to say, it's you know, not a good picture.
Right. You know, when I took a look at it, you know, that's why it was so interesting to me when I started reading some of the recommendations, because I think a lot of this recommendation is based on how to deal with such shortage of government land, because now everybody still wants a piece of the pie, like you said, and like you say, young folks like myself, we're thinking about what we're going to do. So that's why going through this whole document was really eye-opening for me as to some of the recommendations and suggestions. But one of the things I also thought about as I looked at this, where it says that North Caicos only have 2% of crown land.
Yes.
You know, I saw that there's a bigger percentage of private land. And most of that, what came to mind more so was a lot of generational property.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the case, and I feel like, you know, that's an indication for those in North Caicos to probably I can be wrong about this, but I think the majority of it is generational land versus other private persons coming in and purchasing. And I just feel that way from being in the real estate sector and seeing that the movement on North Caicos was not so great as in Provo, and most of the properties, even when we had a property to sell, it all derived from generational property. That's an indication to me for those who have generational property. I think that's a good thing in a way that they can, to say that they still hold the wealth of the country in their hands, and they just need to use that opportunity in to their advantage and to make opportunities for them. Not taken away from government providing land for the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands, but when I saw that specifically in North Caicos, that's what I thought about, and they could really dictate the way how things are. Develop within the islands, and there will be, I think, much more opportunity for residents of North Caicos and thereabout. That's how I thought about that part about it.